Let's have a look at this exam style question on respiration and exercise. The question says, an athlete is training on a rowing machine. Figure 1 is a graph showing her oxygen consumption during her exercise. Describe what happens to the oxygen consumption in the section of the graph labelled A, and we have 2 marks. Let's start by looking at the command word. And I can see the command word is here, and it's the word describe. So we're being asked to describe the changes in the oxygen consumption shown in this graph here. Now it's really important to realise here that we're being asked to describe and not explain the graph. So the examiner is looking for an answer that gives a description or an account of the changes in oxygen consumption, not an explanation. So we don't need to go into the reasons for the changes. Essentially, this is a question assessing your ability to read a graph. Let's look for other important words or phrases in the question. Now, in the first line, I can see the word oxygen consumption. What's oxygen consumption? Well, oxygen consumption is how much oxygen the body is using for respiration in order to produce energy, which is needed to supply the working muscles during exercise. Another key bit of information is the bit that says, in the section of the graph labelled A. Now that's important because we're being asked simply to focus on this section of the graph. So we're looking at this area here, and we're completely ignoring this area here. So we don't need to look at that bit at all. We're only focusing on section A. So let's have a closer look at the graph. I can see on the x-axis we've got time, whereas on the y-axis we've got oxygen consumption. And we can see here that the oxygen consumption is suddenly increasing very quickly, and then it begins to level off. Okay, so let's think about how we might put that into words. I'm going to say the oxygen consumption now it goes up. The scientific word for that would be increases, and we can see that it increases really quickly. So I'm going to put increases rapidly. Okay, at first, and then it levels off, which we can see up here. So at first, and then levels off. And that will give you 2 marks. There'll be 1 mark for saying the oxygen consumption increases rapidly at first, which I've got there, and the second mark will be for saying that then levels off. So second mark there.